Hey, and we are live. Woo! Yes. We're gonna wait for some people to come into the room. Uh we are live in all the spots. Let me turn my my mail. I should have done that. Yeah, we got some people coming into the room. I'm not drinking today.
Me neither, but it's earlier here. I'm on the West Coast. So
On the West Coast. I'm just having a little
oh,
lemonade.
that's nice.
Yeah. And that's interesting because I after pandemic and after we started going back, and I was like, I'm drinking a lot of wine. I've been drinking a lot of wine. It's like, I gotta get myself together.
I had my margarita last night after the show, so I'm like, that's good now. I have a show tomorrow. I have to be good.
Yeah, yeah, you gotta be good. You gotta be good, right? Not too much
Mm,
talking, not too much,
yeah.
yeah, all the things. Good evening. Yes, people are coming in. I know. I was thinking, I was like, gosh, should I change my time? Because Thursday at 8 has been like since the
hmm
beginning. And I don't know if I should go later, if I should go earlier, if I should switch my day. Hi. Oh my goodness, my friend from Scotland.
Oh, this is so nice.
Yes, great to see you. Yeah, I just wouldn't. I didn't know. I was like, oh, but in America, Thursday at 8 is like the hour where you do where the Cosby Show. That's why we picked it, because Thursday at 8 was the hour that everybody, in America would stop and watch Cosby Show.
hmm
So that's kind of like my friends like you have to do 8 o'clock on
I
Thursday.
feel honored. I love it.
Oh, oh, oh. Well, as everyone's coming into the room, I just want to take the moment to say thank you all for coming, and I am so excited to be back. Last time I saw most of my combos crew was New Year's Eve, which has always been an epic time for combos crew. But I was fortunate enough during the that New Year's Eve episode to have a guest, Sam Martin, come on, who is the artistic director for Cincinnati Song Initiative, a wonderful organization that does amazing work. I have been a fan of theirs since, I guess, around pandemic, when everybody was doing all the virtual offerings. And so I've been following them and just loving all the content that they do, all the podcasts. And he reached out to me to collaborate with Combos, and I told him, I said, I never had any sponsorships. I did all of Combos during all of pandemic, all on my own. And, there was no house or theater organization, whatever supporting, but it was just our little Combos crew. So I just want to take the minute to say thank you, Sam, for inviting KikiKonvos and the Convos crew onto your platform. And I'll just say a little brief thing about Cincinnati Song Initiative. Cincinnati Song Initiative was founded to provide a world-class source of song to the greater Cincinnati area. Each concert features singers and pianists of national renown, providing an unparalleled level of artistry within an intimate and accessible atmosphere. Audiences enjoy close interactions with the artists, hearing them discuss the relevance of the music in relation to today's cultural and societal context. Concerts take place at different venues throughout the Queen City in order to connect with its many vibrant communities and explore all it has to offer. So thank you very much, Cincinnati Song Initiative. And I could not think of a better artist, a better person, a better friend. And why am I getting emotional? Than Miriam Khalil. Miriam is one of the most beautiful spirits, one of the most gifted artists, not just a singer. She is an artist. I have known her for a number of years. I won't say how many just yet. I'll let her say. And I have always been a fan of Miriam's exquisite voice. She moves so beautifully through her opera repertoire, concert recitals, her curation as a producer. I know her other half very, very well. I there's a whole bio about Miriam, and I could speak to all her beautiful roles and her interpretation, all those things. And I'll just let you go to her website and I'll let her speak to it. I hate to read those things, but it's better for me to speak from my heart about this beautiful artist. And I could not think of a better person who's representative of all of the things that we as the Convos crew at Cincinnati Song Initiative, than Miss Miriam Khalil, soprano. Welcome, Miriam.
That now I'm emotional. Like, that was the sweetest introduction ever. Thank you. It's an honor to be here. Really.
Yes. Oh, yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming. Oh, yes. Everybody's in the chat there. The chat is popping off. Yes. Thank you, Marsha. Thank you. Oh, hopefully the chat will be popping off later too. You know, it's a lively group, So Miriam, before we start talking about your recent success in New York, please tell us how you came into knowing that you wanted to be a singer.
Oh gosh. I mean, don't you think that most singers know that they want to be singers from like the day they wake up? I don't know. I know it's a different journey for everybody, but I know for myself, I mean, I can tell you a funny story, but at around 3, I accidentally watched The Shining.
Okay.
This leads somewhere, don't worry. And I was so terrified. Like, I have 3 older brothers, and I snuck into the room, and they thought I was sleeping, and I saw like a very scary part, and they found me and they put me back in bed. But it was the part where the lady would, like, she was like a lady in the bathroom, and then she became an old lady because she was actually a ghost. And so after that, I was terrified to go to the bathroom, and that's how I kind of started singing prayers while I was in the bathroom, and I would just sing and sing and sing just to create noise. And that's how it kind of like, my parents were like, oh, she's really obsessed with singing. But like, even from before that, I loved singing in church choir and all that. But that was kind of the big thing. And then when we moved to Canada, I lived in Damascus, Syria. When we moved, when I was 7, I didn't speak French or English, which were the 2 languages that we learned in school. But I did join the choir. And that was kind of my way of sort of like showing my voice and like being seen as someone other than the girl that doesn't speak English or French. So that was my way of sort of communicating. And that was it. And like, I just always knew that I had a voice, and I enjoyed it. And then I remember we did Greatest Love of All in the church, in the school choir. And I came home and I said, I love this song so much. And I was crying, and I was so like obsessed. And so my brother then bought me a Whitney Houston cassette. So I'm aging myself, but that's what he got me. And that was it.
That was it. Listen, that was my high school audition, was The Greatest Love of All.
Oh my gosh. I mean, is there a better song? I don't think so. Well, One Moment in Time, that was another one. And then I Will Always Love You,
Yeah. The things that we used to sing as kids, it's like,
yeah.
We didn't even know what we were saying. Like, oh my goodness. Yeah. So you say your family came to Canada from Syria. So you talk a little bit about your background?
Yeah, I mean, we're Lebanese, but we lived in Syria, and my dad worked in Syria, and that was where our family was, or a majority of our family was, between Syria and Lebanon, was most of our family. And then my mom had her brothers and her sister lived in Ottawa, Canada. Yeah. And so my dad came to Canada in 83 and just checked it out to see what the situation was. And he came back, he's like, it's too cold.
Yeah. Yeah, I would think he would think it was way too cold.
Yeah. But then things kind of started to intensify, politically, and we're Christian, but also Lebanese, living in Syria. And then things just sort of weren't becoming easier. They were becoming more difficult, especially for my brothers who were in high school, going into university. And my mom was really, really worried about military and all that kind of thing. So she just said, I think we need to sort of think about moving. And so my dad in 87 put in the papers, and immediately we came back, they came back and said, yes, you can immigrate. And so we moved to Ottawa. And, for me, it's interesting because I feel like I was very young, in the sense that I don't have a lot of memories from Damascus, but my brothers who were in their teens, I think it really affected them a lot more than it did with me. Because for me, it was almost like a rebirth, like kind of like this, you start brand new. And I remember not speaking English, and I remember then speaking English, but that in between thing, I don't really remember very much. And my brothers definitely remember every aspect of that, and moving away from friends and loved ones, which was difficult, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm of course. I mean, we oftentimes don't hear many stories from that part of the world. We hear a lot of immigrant stories from
Mhm.
Asia, or immigrant stories, from, parts of Europe. But, in the, that part of the world, you just don't hear it. And that colors so much of the art that you make.
1,000 infinite percent. I cannot mirror that more. It created, I mean, we'll get into it, but I think as I move through my kind of journey artistically, if I do not go back and acknowledge that part of my life, I don't think I would be the artist I am now. Because ignoring that is ignoring a whole part of not just my identity, but my musical voice, which is, where it all started, and that's the sounds and all the things that were kind of influencing me at that age continued to influence me, because my parents didn't stop listening to Arabic music when we came to Canada. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it was my whole life. And then entrenched in the church, the Byzantium chant tradition that was directly kind of linked to my Arabic heritage was very much part of my upbringing up until I was, in my 20s. So
Yeah.
mhm.
Wow. That
Yeah.
is so that's beautiful. And I want you to talk more about that in your music. So when was the first time that you discovered that you had your voice?
Ooh. So I don't know if my first public kind of uh singing time was at my first communion, and I have a video of that. And and I, um, and I remember back in Syria. This is gonna sound so, oh my gosh, you're gonna know so much about me. I was,
That's the point. That's the point. We want the world to get to know you and then follow you and come
yeah,
hear you sing every time you sing. So
I remember being probably about 3 or 4, and I turning to the girl next to me and saying, "Tell the teacher you want to hear me sing this song."
you said that?
Yeah.
Hey, tell her you want to hear me sing this.
And don't tell her I told you. Tell her you want me to sing that song. And so I think from a really young age, I really just love to perform. And that was my way of being I'm special,
Mhm.
Um, and, I think that kind of moved through knowing that kind of set me apart from other people. That was my talent. That was my way of sort of being seen. To as you kind of grow as an artist, you realize that there's so much more than just the voice and what you have to say as well. But I think, yeah, at the age of 3, 4, I was already I'm good. And you all need to know it.
I'm a legend already and I'm 4.
But I think you were asking later, right? You're asking about later.
Yeah, yeah. Look, you knew. I
I knew.
always knew. I always
But yeah, I think it started to kind of come a little bit. Um, it was all post young artist programs, I think, because when I was in young artist programs, I was just so trying to put myself in this tiny little box of what is sellable. and I found that I was not fitting into this tiny little box.
Mhm.
I was very sort of uncomfortable.
Mhm.
And I think finally I had the courage in my second year of Young Artist Program just to say, I don't, I'm not fitting into these roles that you want me to kind of sing.
Mhm.
Um, and it's not that I can't do them, it's just that I don't think I can do them the way you want. And so I would rather that you give me roles that are a little bit more suitable for, because they were giving me very highlight rights things. And then when they started giving me more middly, because they didn't feel that I was a full lyric,
Mhm.
and that's fine. I was young. Um, and so, they started to give me kind of the lower stuff. That's when I actually found my top. And when I started to kind of like really find that I was like, oh, wow, like I know how to do this now because I'm not
Mhm.
shoehorning my voice into a specific spot. Um, and then I think when I started to really embrace my heritage in my artistic practice is when I finally started to go, oh, like I'm neither this or that, but I can be kind of both in this kind of world. And that's when I found my voice. So I would say like sometime around um, after doing the Canadian Opera Company Young Artist Program, I started to sort of like embrace that and really sort of like bring it into my artistic practice. That's when I found it.
Okay, you said like two amazing things, and I want to make sure that not only does the singer community understand what you just said, but that also our wonderful fans and friends and family who love singers understand. So Miriam talked about her voice type and talked about how when you have a warm, rich, round sound, oftentimes in university and conservatory, they like to strip away and scale down because it doesn't quite fit so easily into a category or a fach, is what we call it. And so many singers get lost in the sauce, and because they strip away your sauce and try to make you put you in a box. I'm Miriam in her since she was 3 years old, letting the world know she was fabulous, was like, no, you can't put me in a box. And she did not allow for that to happen. And I think it's important, particularly for young any singer in the stage of the journey, to understand that part of the core of your gift, the core of your instrument, should always be there, right? That is what
Mhm.
it is. It's not going to always fit, and everyone's not going to always understand it, but that part. And then also singing the things that speak to your heritage and where you come from frees you up. And I know even as an African American singer, there is this familiarity with our music that definitely allows for the instrument, for be it the soul, the throat, and all of the things, the breath, to just align, and we don't talk about that kind of stuff enough. We shy away
Mhm.
from that.
I think it's so telling because I mean I tried to dissect it because in my in my teaching life you kind of have to go, why, like why is it that this specific kind of music that speaks to me is speaking to me so much. So yes, I think it's a familiarity. It's a thing that if it's in a different language. Okay, so for me it's Arabic. If it's in Arabic, it's a language that I was born speaking. So I don't have to think about how do I make that sound, right? And how is that? It comes out, right?
Mhm.
So there's that. And then there's the thing that I've heard that music my entire life, right?
Yeah.
So those three things combined, you know, um, make it so that you do not have to think about how to express it or how to, it just flows out. And so you go, how do I take that and put it on a song that I don't know as well,
Mhm.
right?
Or an opera roll
Or an
or
opera
aria.
roll.
Yeah.
And it comes down to, and this is, maybe, but it comes down to knowing it like it was your native tongue and finding enough familiarity that it becomes something that flows through you like that. And until you have that, you're not going to be as comfortable as you are in your actual material. And that's why it takes so much longer in things that are not specifically things that you grew up with, right? So,
Mhm.
and that's why I think, like, for young artists, I say, do that. Use that as an example of how well you need to know it and how well it needs to be kind of coming out of you in a way that it feels like you were born singing that thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm. And yeah, yes, yes, and that is the core, that is the essence
Yeah.
of that is the bel canto, right? That is the technique.
That's the technique,
That is
because
the technique.
technique is a thing that we shouldn't be like, oh, you know, I mean, when we're in trouble, yes, absolutely. but but when things are going well, they're going well because you're just breathing life into the text and
Mhm.
breathing life into the style, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely. Imma open up the chat. Hey, Eve, do you know Eve
Ah, yes,
Giuliani?
I do. Hi,
Hi, Eve,
Eve.
my sister from I love Eve. You know, Eve and I go way back to, like, when we were, like, 17. Uh, no, sorry, not 17, not that young. 20, I think 20. So, and I'm 22 right now, so it's
I've yeah, 2 years.
you know.
I
Yes,
met
hi.
I
Would you
met
say
Eve in France in an audition, and then
oh,
like she's so sweet. I was like, wow, I love you. I don't know you very well, but you're awesome.
oh, no, she's one of the good ones and a fabulous singer,
Yes.
fabulous.
Yeah.
Hi, Greg, and look who's here. Look who's here. Jarrell. Thank you, Jarrell. We have to have the show. I call him the show. Come on. Yes. Hi. Hi, Emma. His beautiful.
Aw.
Oh my goodness. Hi, James. How are you? Yes. Yes, Martin. This is my one of the big combos crew fans. He's in Scotland and he comes every time. He stays up.
That's amazing.
Yes. I missed you. Hi, Mark. I'll see you soon. Mark Markham. Yes. You a whole lot. He's a mess. Anyway, the chat can get quite lively. I don't know what's going on in on YouTube. So, but anyway, Miriam, that is beautiful. Yes, yes, yes. We need more of all of those things. And when you teach, how do you have those kind of conversations with your singers?
I talk a lot about like familiarity and like knowing, because it's like, they come in, they have to know their translations. You remember, you have to know
Yeah.
your translations, your IPA, you have to have done all that preliminary work.
Mhm.
But if I ask you what the meaning is and you have to go, then it's not familiar, right?
Mhm.
Then you're not singing the meaning. You're singing a sound, and you might as well be on your favorite vowel or
Yes. Right, right, exactly.
like, so I do talk about that, the importance of knowing it so well
Mhm.
that you're in the moment of making the music rather than making, you know it's just so, and it's so important. I think it's we all talk about it, we all think about it, but and I know I'm guilty of it too, when you have to do like a quick study roll,
Mhm.
and getting all that information in there. um and I can tell when I have not done that work, because I'm just like so worried about what it sounds like rather than it kind
Yes.
of like pouring out. And,
Absolutely, yeah.
yeah, and all the colors being there.
Absolutely. It's always that, like, one page or that 1 or 2 phrases where you're just, like where you're in it, and then all of a sudden you're like, that's why I tell people that I mentor. I don't have really students technically, but I'm like, it will always tell on you. It will always tell on you. I always say when you take the consonants out of the phrase and and you just do vowels, it'll always tell on you. And
Yeah,
also when are not connected to whatever, because when you're so connected,
yeah.
you're there. And when you're not, it exposes you. So yes, look who's here. Hi, Martin.
Hi, Martin.
How are you? Yes. Thank you, Greg. It's a every day. The hair could be something different every day. Yes. I wanted to go back and say I didn't get to say hello to my friend James Anthony. James, we go way back to like 13. So we go way, way, way,
That's
way back. I don't know if he's still here or not. This is pre Karen Slack Soprano and all that kind of stuff. I kind of have a lot of the same friends that I grew up with. I'm
That's
literally
the
from like
best.
5 years old, and through, and I think I might have known him even longer than 13. But I don't get rid of good people, so and I guess they don't get rid of me, so But we can talk about how we met. We can
Yes.
transition into that part.
Do you want me to say the year or leave the year out? We good?
Go for it.
We met at Ravinia in 2008. Crazy, right? And I remember being the only Canadian at that program. That's what I remember. And everyone oh no, wait, Roz was there.
Roz was there.
But
Yeah.
I didn't know Rosin very well because she kind of had done like the American programs. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I get two Canadians. And I showed up and I was like, oh, I'm so kind of nervous. And everyone kind of knew somebody. And you were just like, I don't know, you and Roz. Oh, everyone was really lovely. Do you remember? It was like a really amazing group. But I remember you just being like, it's all good. Like you're just so relaxed and just amazing. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that was an amazing program because it's interesting because I had made my Met debut like literally like 2 years before, a year and a half before that. And I had always loved singing recitals and concerts. And there was a wonderful singer that I always admired, Misha Brewer-Gossman, Canadian soprano. And her and I kind of, well, we would like compete in some things together, like, when we were first starting out. But anyway, I was always a huge fan of hers. And I always just admired how she finessed and made this whole gigantic career singing concerts and orchestra recitals and stuff. And I said, I always wanted to keep doing that kind of thing. And so even though I had made my Met debut and last minute and all that kind of stuff, I was like, I'm going to go to Ravinia and like sing songs all summer and, Brian Seeger.
Yeah, it was really like I learned some of the biggest things in that program, And what was very cool because I remember at the beginning they said, you're going to get very tired here. Like, don't overdo it. And I was like, what? Are you serious? I'd never heard that before. Where they're like, take it easy, learn your music, don't sing too much, don't get vocally tired. And I was like, oh, that's a revelation right there.
Right. Well, there you go. Yeah,
no, it was amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing. Every day we were doing like coachings and master classes and, and just addiction coaching and all that good stuff. Yeah. So there was a certain gentleman that I met there with you.
Yes.
And yes, a certain scruffy looking, kind of shy guy that was with this beautiful soprano. And then a couple years later, like you can tell us who this special scruffy guy was.
Yeah, we'd been together a year then. And and he came, like he drove from Toronto to visit me. And that was like, okay, I guess this is like we like each other then. I mean, we knew we liked each other, but and then we got married. Now we have 2 children. Joel Ivany is stage director and artistic director of Edmonton Opera, founder of Against the Grain Theater, and he's also the opera head of opera at the Banff Center for the Arts. So, yeah, and now you know him like. Yeah, tell us your relationship.
Oh, well. Well, I knew Miriam, of course, before I knew Joel, and Joel directed me in Dead Man Walking in Vancouver and also Minnesota. And Joel called me out of the blue in the during pandemic, like 2020, and because they were revamping the program in Banff. and I sort of heard about Banff, but not really, and I didn't know. And then I go and I'm like, sure, okay, fine. And then I look it up and I'm like, and I texted you, Miriam. I was like, OMG, this place is amazing, right? And Joel sort of knows my style, my flavor, and how I am. And he knows I'm spicy. I am very honest, but I'm of a gigantic heart, and he knows I'm a hell of an artist, right? So he invited me to co-direct with him the first year, and then kept inviting me back as a faculty member in Banff, and it's been such a blessing. And I appreciate Joel so much, not only because I think he's a fantastic artist in his own right, but that he just lets me be Kiki in the space. I think he expects it. And I appreciate that, because not a
Mhm.
lot of people, um, there's a lot of masking, right? There's a lot of fake, and a lot of, like, people being one way in one space and another way in another space. And I think that I respect Joel so much, is that he just does not, that's just not, that doesn't go fly too well with him. So I appreciate that. But talk about what that's like, being married to a director and a producer, as a singer and a producer in your own right.
I mean, it's funny because he's just, to me, we're just Joel and Miriam, right? And when we first got together, and I actually, it was at Ravinia, we went for like this massive walk, and he's like, what do you want from your life? And I was like, oh my God, these huge questions.
That's a pretty good
And
question.
that's Joel all the time with the huge questions. And they don't get smaller, they just get bigger, and he's always asking these important but very, very big questions. And it makes you kind of go, okay, I never, I'm like a moment to moment kind of person. So for somebody to ask me a question about what I want from my life, like, I'm just like, I just want to sing. And he's like, that's, you have to be more specific.
Yeah.
And so that's what it's like being married to Joel. It's always being very specific, and sort of understanding why you do a certain thing. And I think in a way, like, I've grown not just as a singer, but as a human, because you do things with intention, and it's not just like by accident that things happen. Um, and, we've worked together a lot. Like, he's directed me, and like, people just go, this is the popcorn. Because I'm very mouthy when, apparently.
Oh, no wonder he's used to it then. So he just lets she's okay.
I was just like, do you really want that? Is that really what you want? You know?
Ah, and he's like, yeah.
Yeah. Like, in a very specific moment in the turn of the screw, he was like, I want it to be like, you're fighting through the light. And I was like, can it just be like a train journey like every other? He's like, no, I'm the director. And I was like, okay. So when he says that, I'm like, okay, fine. So and in terms of like working together, it's always like, what's the thing that you want to do, and let's think about how we want to do that, and why do we want to do that, and what is the reason, and those are really actually very important questions when you're putting something on, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And he during the pandemic, he was like, you would be a great director. I mean, even before the pandemic, this was a thing that he would always say, you need to direct, you need to direct, you need to direct. And I'm like, okay, wonderful. I'm a mom, I'm a singer, I'm artistic advising, like, what else? So during the pandemic, we decided that we wanted to kind of do a project called Savitri by Gustav Holst. And he's like, listen to it and see if it's something that you'd be interested in directing. And I was like, okay, like, it's the pandemic. We're all kind of stepping out of our
Yes.
little bubbles that we make for our little comfort bubbles, right?
Yes. Yes.
And so I had so much fun. We had Dylan Toombs, who is the director of photography, filmography, I do not know that. I should know that word. But and Simran Claire, uh, who had I had kind of worked with her in a program here, actually here with Pacific Opera Victoria. They had directed a piece about their heritage and with their grandmother. And so I was like, you know what? Simran would be perfect to be kind of an associate director on this. And so we can kind of work about the history, about the story, and about who Savitri was. And you know, because it was interesting that like Gustav Holst hung on to this specific story, which was, you know, a little part of the Mahabharata, the you know, one of the longest epic poems, the longest epic poem. And he took this little chapter of this woman who was basically born through the goddess of the sun, and looked for her own husband, found her own husband, and knew he was going to die and married him anyway, and then saved him from death. When death came, she basically spoke to death and tricked death into letting her keep her husband. And so it's a very kind of, it's an epic tale, and it's done in an opera, and it's meant to be outside. And anyway, so he entrusted me with this, but then he was also like, he hands off, like no help. I was like, oh my gosh, like I've never directed a thing, and now you want me to direct a film.
Right.
And it was amazing. It was one of the best things that, and gratifying, you know, to sort of like have that trust in yourself and in your vision, and have a team that supports you.
Mm-hmm.
And he just kind of just said, you've got this, like you go and do that. And so just that's like, and as you know, because now you know Joel, he just like, if he trusts you, he's like, here's this thing, and I know you can do it. And that's sometimes, as daunting as that is, you go, well, if you believe I can do it, then I know I can do it, you know?
Yes.
You know, if someone, and this is a big thing. I was talking to somebody about this today.
Mm-hmm.
I said, you just need someone to see you. You just need someone to see you. And the thing is that even if people don't see you, you need to see yourself. But the people that you need to surround yourself with are people that see you more than sometimes you would see yourself in certain situations. Because then you will feel inspired to rise above what you think your limitations are, you know? And that's Joel.
Yeah, that really is. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm serious when I say he expects you, once he trusts you, he expects you to always show up and do that thing that he, you know, entrusted you with. But, you know, you said something really profound, like to surround yourself around people who see you, even before you see you. How do you find those people? How do you, maybe you, I'll let you answer that.
I think sometimes we push that away, you know, we can kind of go, that makes me uncomfortable. But it's something interesting. Like my voice teacher of like almost 20 years, Wendy Nielsen, always saw me. You know, you can kind of tell because you walk into a room and you go, oh, I'm having all these vocal issues and blah, blah, blah. And then she would just kind of center and go, well, this, you know, and just make you know that you have the ability to do it, not just that. So there's that. I had a manager early on who, when I didn't move on after the semifinals at the Met, I wrote her, she hadn't signed me yet. And I said, I understand if you don't want to sign me. And she goes, Miriam, you're not a competition winner. You're an interesting performer. You're an interesting artist. And I don't care if you don't win competitions. You're not going to win competitions. You're not a flashy singer. You're an interesting singer that has something to say. And then you go, ugh. Like, you know, those people that kind of, they tell you a thing that you know about yourself, but you don't know that other people see it. And then they bring that out in you. So I think it's like, it's listening. It's like having your ears open And it's not about listening to BS, you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of people who are like, wow, you're the best. That's not it. It's hearing the thing that needs to be heard when it is said. So kind of being open to that, and then allowing that information in and letting it sort of, you know, fester in a good way. I can't think of a
Yeah,
word.
exactly. Right.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like grow and be nourished. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. There was something. Nicole Houston. Hi, Nicole. Yes, walking to the theater and listening. Oh, I adore her. The Jarrell speak, and she said, "I love Wendy." Yes, Wendy came to sing. I think she sang Donna Anna in Philly. There was just a Mozart, big Mozart soprano. She sang a lot of those roles in Philadelphia. I do remember her very well. But I think that singers need to. I mean, you're dropping so many gems, and I think it's just so important for singers to hear what you're saying about how you speak into yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right? And how
Yeah.
you let people, how you're surrounded by people, and knowing what they're saying to you and the taking the things,
Yeah.
an article, a drop today, a beautiful singer. Actually, it was an older article, blog post. Leah Partridge. I don't know if you saw Leah's showing about her experience covering at the
Mm-hmm.
Met and everything, and it was resonated with me because I had some very similar experience being there doing that, and I was weeping earlier, and then in Nicole, we were in a chat group and we were talking about how profound the storytelling was that Leah put into this article. And it was not just for singers, it's for other people who love singers, who love singing, who love the art form of vocal art. It's important for them to understand like the journey of a singer, and not so much the successes, the highs, right? Because it's easy when you're on the mountaintop, right? It's easy when you ride and then you win every competition, you nail every audition, you open your email up and you got 5 offers and all of the things. It's easy to get up every day and do the thing. What's not so easy is when you do your work and you get out there and you're in front of people and they hate everything you're doing, right? And you do all the things, you check all the boxes, you've done all the work, and still nothing. You dotted all the T's, crossed all the I's, and just did everything. And they say, nope, not you. You can't sing this. You can't do that. You're not good enough. You're not all of these things. And those of us who've been in this journey, and those of us who've passed through already, like for many, many, many years, it's it's tough. It's beyond tough. That's not even the right word to use to say. But how do you keep going? How do you keep pushing through? How do you keep every day meeting the challenge?
It is so hard. Like I have cried so much in my earlier days. And I think and there was like a time when I couldn't even audition because I would walk in the room and fall right apart. I was like, oh. And then but I always went to the audition. I never did not go. I never said no. And there was times when probably I should have been like, maybe not this one, but I never did that. And I showed up.
Mm.
And I think the big thing, it's not just showing up. It's about eventually you learn that that's not their, validation is not going to ever make you happy. A job is what, 6 weeks? That's it. It's over. Right? Yes, fine, money. Okay, we need to be financially able to carry on. Okay, I get that. I understand. But at the end of the day, it's your own validation of yourself and kind of realizing that you did everything you can and that's it. And you can be happy with that performance or you might not be happy with that performance. That's okay. But other people's validation, like you can't get into their head and like, no, like we were talking about this in terms of how to produce opera for like different communities, you know. And I was thinking, you know, you go into a community which is a little bit more used to like a traditional setting of opera, and if you kind of take that away from them, they're really uncomfortable. But then you get these other people that come in and go, wow, that's cool. So you kind of have to play this balanced role, but you're never going to please everybody. And this is the thing as an artist. And I remember early days when we weren't being hired, like Joel was like, why did we start ATG? Like if you ask him, he needed reviews. And he's like, how am I going to get reviews if I don't have work? And so the big thing for us was, let's just make art and not be like kind of bound by this and that, but let's just make art and make really good art in a very economical way. That's how ATG started. With a $5,000 grant, we did La Boheme in a bar.
Okay.
You know, I'm just, you know,
like, no. The people need to hear this, because yeah. This is the thing. It's yeah. Like, you have to create it anyway.
Yeah.
If you are an artist, you make art. Yeah. If you are a singer, you freaking sing.
Yes.
If you're a director, you get you some singers or whatever, and you direct, right? So AGT is Against the Grain Theater, started by Joel Ivany, Miriam Khalil.
And we had like a collective of artists. Topher McShevsky was a pianist, and like he had kind of was dabbling in conducting. We had Kate Cool, who was like a media person. We had kind of like people that were just super into, you know, Amanda Abdelhadi. She was, you know, she was like, she's an artist. She would like find us other artists like to do the programs. Like we had this amazing collective that just poured into this art, because we were just like, this is cool. We love doing this, and we, you know, and we should be able to do it. And it was a self-expression. It was an expression of what we felt we wanted to put out there, rather, you know, than you're always being hired, and this is what you're being told what to do, and you're not always representing yourself to what you feel is your best ability. And this is what I mean. Like, I think validation, external validation is great, but it's very temporary, and it's very, it's fleeting, and it's empty. And so you have to just create and do it. And that's how you learn. And I know it's expensive, and I know it's hard, but there are so many ways. Like before ATG, I was making my own recitals. I would just do my own recitals with my friend Julien Leblanc, you know, do these little things and put them up and do them in our communities where people actually came, you know. But you know what I mean? Like you want to do it, you just have to do it. And I think you find ways in your own ability to do it. And I know it's not easy, but that's where the validation comes from, because then you kind of realize, well, you know, and that's how I kind of started singing Arabic songs. I would do traditional repertoire and then do an encore in Arabic. And then people were like, that Arabic song though. And then I was like, oh, maybe I should put some Arabic songs. And that was Joel's like, we should do a whole cycle of Arabic songs. And then it turned into, I did a whole recital of Arabic songs. And these are not traditionally classical songs, but if you arrange them in a way, you can make them classical. And some of them are very classical in nature. So like, these are all things that you kind of, you find your interest and you pour into it. And I think then the validation is more about, am I happy with what I did and how can I get better, rather than it being external? Because I think that's fleeting. You're never going to make everybody happy. It's so exhausting. And in terms of like getting work, I always would ask for feedback, and I always did it like in a really nice way. Like I didn't contact the company directly. I would like tell my manager, what you were sitting on that audition, what happened, what did they say, or what did you think? And I would always get feedback like, oh, you know, you're great, we just want to wait, or you know, the top or the bottom or whatever it is of her voice is not what we're looking for. There's not enough cut, whatever it is. And then you go, okay, I'm going to go work on that, because that's constructive, right? That's not personal. And when it becomes personal, then you go, no thanks. Like that's
Mhm.
none of my business, and that's none of your business, right? Like we just didn't like her energy. Okay, great, wonderful. I've not gotten that though, thankfully.
Right, right. Well, it's always the great, and then they,
Hmm.
behind the scenes, they say whatever,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I think that we don't share how you manage and how you do things enough, within our own circle, right? And on
Yeah.
our own community as our singers, we just see other people do it and go, I wish I want, I want you, I want. And so yeah, he started with a $5,000 grant and it became a whole company. And and now it's moved on and it's grown, and you built it, and someone else takes that baby
Yeah.
and takes it to the next phase of its
Yeah.
life, right? But yeah, creating your own opportunity so you can get your own dang on reviews, like not waiting around for people to validate you, to give you the opportunity. And that is so important for the 21st century artist and opera singer. I know, Joel, that's so much about
Hmm.
program is training singers for the 21st century. And and because there will be less opportunities to perform in larger houses and larger spaces, everyone knows all the seasons are being cut back, and things, there's not a lot of funding. You must get comfortable. Yeah, it's hard, but that's part of the job. It's hard to learn the whole ass opera too.
Yeah.
It's hard to learn the whole recital full of new music that you've never even heard,
Yeah.
but that's the job.
And it doesn't get easier, but you sort of like well, like the rejection, you start to go, okay, this is it's kind of like part of our job, and you just have to know your process in getting over it and not letting it kind of scar you or take anything away. And
Mm,
and I think that was the big thing. My big takeaway is when I didn't sing a good audition, I would cry it out and then be like, okay, let's go back and see how I can fix that and make it better for the next time. Always using it as a tool, like a stepping stool to actually get better, you
yes,
know.
that's
And
it.
it's not about getting better because I want to be hired, but it's get better just so that I can feel good in the room when I'm doing the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, for you,
Yeah.
not for them, not for
Yeah.
for you, exactly. And
Hmm.
not for you in an ego way, but just for you to heal yourself, to renew yourself, to rinasce, to revive,
Yeah. But like, how are you gonna have the courage to say something if you're so worried about what people are thinking?
Yes.
Like the courage that you have to sort of actually make a statement with the music that you're singing,
Mhm.
if you're so worried about what people think, because
Right.
everybody's on a different side. Everybody has you're bringing in their experiences. You can't you have to bring yourself into
Mhm.
this space, and you can't
Fully.
do that if you're too busy pleasing.
Mm, I hope y'all writing that down. Dream roles. What's your dream role?
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's hard. I'm singing one right now, Margarita Shirbu. Um,
Please tell
but
us.
Saldo Golijov in Aina Damar. Oh, hey, mama. So that must be Sammy or Emil. Somebody saying hello to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh.
um, and I think, you know, mm, Tatiana and Eugene again is one. I would love to do Ellen Orford in Peter Grimes as one. Would be, I just like, I mean, Benjamin Britten. I just everything about him and
Mhm.
how he wrote and why he wrote and just like push society in a direction. And because he was sort of like very embraced, but his lifestyle was not. So he would insert the sort of the people that were kind of rejected and made them, the anti-hero or the hero, is like speaks very closely to me. And so I love that. So yeah, yeah, those two would be great. And soon Tosca would be great. I said it.
Yes, we talked about that. We talked about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
I wanna hear you sing that.
Okay, I'll record it for you. Ready.
sing Act One. You do Act Two.
Okay.
That's the fun one, anyway. Act Two.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us about what you're doing right now, what your production you're in.
So I'm actually in Victoria, British Columbia, and we're doing a production of Aina da Mar, which means Fountain of Tears. And I play Margarita Shirgu. She was a very famous actress, um, uh, and uh, and she was very closely associated with Federico Lorca, who was a very famous Spanish poet who died at 38 for his socialist views.
Mm.
So, I mean, it's kind of unknown because he disappeared. He was also he was gay, and so they don't know if he disappeared because he was gay or because his writing was pushing the against the current movement at that time, the Franco movement, which was very oppressive.
Mm-hmm.
So, and she performed a lot of his plays, but specifically a piece called Mariana Pineda, who was also martyred because she was also a socialist in her time. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a very like, and Osvaldo Golijov's music is like flamenco. And in this specific piece, he takes Spanish music, flamenco. There's even some Egyptian melody put in through there. And he just loves to sort of mix electronic music. And like he takes at one point, like shooting, like, like the sound of a gunshot.
Uh-huh.
And he turns it into the rhythm of the piece, which then becomes a flamenco rhythm. It's like, it's so good.
Wow.
And it's different images. So it's like, it's not linear, but you're kind of seeing it through Margarita's eyes because Lorca obviously has passed away and it's before she dies. So she's kind of having these visions and these sort of apparitions of Lorca coming in, and she's reliving really, really big moments in their relationship.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And it's like fast paced, right? It's like
fast. The whole opera is about 75 to 80 minutes without an intermission. And it's incredibly moving. You're watching not just the relationship, but when he is arrested, and we have like a flamenco singer, and he's sort of like the bad guy.
Yeah.
And he's always like, arrest him. He's done more harm with his pen than some have done with their actions, and just throwing slurs at him through flamenco singing. It's just incredible. And that's mixed in with classical opera. So it's just really, really incredible. And like the most moving scene is the confession, when Lorca is confessing to God, and it's like before he dies and gets taken away. And it's like these things are happening. There is not a moment in time when these things are not happening. And so it's really hard not to pull it into the now and empathize with what is going on. Different players, but it's always the same. And that's so breaking. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's important for those stories to continue to be told.
Yes.
You know, this whole idea of the canon and what it means, what the canon means and the problematic and all the stuff. But, Ben, he's asked artistic directors what composers they were programmed. Yeah. If Britain, yeah, and
Yeah.
Massenet, yeah. We
Yeah.
gotta, yeah, we gotta get and maybe, a lot of people are taking risks on those things. I know, it's hard to say in this economy, but people still love great music and great singing and great art, you know.
I think storytelling is huge, and I think we can lean into that more. People are it's hard because after the pandemic, I find like attention spans are also shorter. And so like, how do you attend to that? People don't really want an intermission anymore. They kind of want
Straight through.
and out.
Yeah.
And I think it's but if the story is interesting. Do you know what I mean? It is the music 100%, but I think the story is very, very, and how we tell the stories is
Yes.
very much part of, and if we kind of open it up to maybe how different people tell the stories
Hmm.
so that we can see it through a different lens. That was
Yes.
the thing.
Absolutely, especially people that we don't know well, if it's a someone that we not just don't know well, but a person, a community, whatever, and this you're seeing and you're hearing and experiencing something completely different. You do want to come back and intermission of how how it ends, but
Yeah.
maybe not how that particular person or artist tells the story. So that's I love that you said that. That you said that. What are you most looking forward to coming up?
I'm also doing Ire, which is Osvaldo's song cycle. I'm doing that at Edmonton Opera. And we staged it in 2016 and turned it into an album. Like we did the live recording. And it's very cool because it's in 5 languages:
Oh, wow.
Hebrew, Arabic, Spanish, Sardinian, and Ladino. And it's very interesting because he interweaves a Palestinian poem with a Hebrew prayer in one
Wow.
of the pieces. And he takes 2 pieces from a Byzantium Easter Mass where Mary's singing to Jesus. And so those are in Arabic
Mhm.
because that was the original language.
Mhm.
And then he takes Sephardic lullabies and weaves those through. And then the Sardinian piece is actually a protest piece. So it's like all these different factors, one going into the other. And it's really a piece about, well, it's about unity, but when he wrote it, he took all the cultures that coexisted in the south of Spain in the 1400s
Mhm.
before the Jews and the Muslims and everybody were exiled. And so, and the commonalities of the music and the sounds of the language and everything that you have there, because obviously the Moors really did influence a lot in Spain. And then you have the klezmer, which was like, it's just a really incredible piece. So we're doing that. We're doing that in April. And it's kind of weird because to be like in this like Golijov world right now, and then like going into another Golijov piece. So yeah.
Absolutely. That's amazing. It does sound amazing, Ben, right? Oh my gosh. And
The
music,
album is on all of the platforms, by the way.
it's gonna be
I Live. Yeah.
yeah, it's gonna be on all the
And it
platforms.
already is. It's on iTunes and Google and I don't know, all the Spotify, all those things.
All the
Yeah.
things, Apple, all that. Look it
Yeah.
up, guys. Look it up. But that's amazing. You see, and Penny has rejoined us again.
There it is.
There she is, the queen.
She's
The
like,
queen.
I'm back.
I'm back. I'm actually came in earlier. But Miriam, this is I could talk to you forever. I love speaking to you and talking about your art and how you make your art and how you want to make your art and all those things. Like what is your vision for your future in this art form, and what would you like to see as someone who is a teacher, an artist, a producer, a fan, I'm sure, of of this art form? Like what part would you like to play in all of that?
Such a big question. But
I know I always ask big questions. I know.
and do you know it's interesting because this whole year, everything I kind of did was like very sort of how I felt, like not just politically, but like socially in my life. Like I feel like it's very important to sort of represent, not even represent, but like you can I find it very hard to sort of separate myself from those things. And all my projects this year have been that, like, what this is what's going on in the world, and now we're gonna like personify that in your art.
Yeah.
And I think I find that really, really important and really intriguing because yeah, I can say it verbally, but I love saying it through my artistic voice. And
Yeah.
I find that speaks volumes and it brings people in a different way. And I would love art to be not just economically involved, but politically and socially involved. And I'm not saying everything. I mean, obviously, like, sometimes you just want to watch a poem, which
Yeah.
is fantastic. But like, if we pair it with like, an Ainada Mar, and then you can, yeah, I know it's set in the 20th century, the piece, but like you can really bring it to the 21st century. Like there's so many parallels that we can do, or even just like host those kind of talks, so that it's not that we're like, oh, this is uncomfortable. I think it's very important, because we're all kind of feeling the trauma of what's going on in the world. And I would love to be able to flower that into something that then, because then it's a collective healing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
That's a big answer, but
I
mean,
know. It's
I
a
would
big
love to
question.
be, yeah, and I those are the kinds of projects that I would love to kind of keep leaning into, as well as like the Bohèmes and the Toscas, obviously, but that's the thing where I'd love to kind of keep leaning into, because I think it speaks volumes to how I feel and how I'd like my family to sort of like understand the world as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I want that. I want that release of just not the pressure of having to speak always of the moment, but just be,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. All right. Couple fun questions. Favorite
Okay.
food. Favorite food.
Okay. This one's long. Grape leaves, the Lebanese ones that my mom makes. Grape leaves, rice meat, cooked in lemon and garlic. Delicious.
Delicious.
Mm.
So mom is making them for us.
I guess the Greeks call them domas, but the Lebanese, we call them yebra or wara arish.
Yebra or
Wara, which means paper. Arish is grape. Wara
what?
arish. Yeah.
Okay. What a
Or
adish.
vine paper.
Well, I like what a adish. That sounds better than
Yeah. Yes. You said it perfectly. It's a hard one.
because in Philly we say water. It's water. Water ice. Water adish. There you go. I
Yes.
said it right.
Yes, exactly.
I'm multicultural, Miriam. Get with it. Favorite color?
Turquoise.
Really?
Yeah.
That's kind of like okay.
I
Yeah.
know or green. If you want me to really be very specific.
Turquoise. No, I love
Yeah.
turquoise. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Hmm.
Yeah. What's your favorite curse word? I don't know if I can say that. Don't say it. Don't say it.
It's in Arabic anyway.
Ah, well, we'll save that for later.
Okay.
If you were not an artist, a singer, what would you be?
A teacher, and I am that. I love teaching. Yeah. Yeah.
Teacher.
And I feel, but
Really?
that does that count, because that's like still an artist. I
I
think teachers are
mean,
artists.
okay. So if you were not, okay, second,
A
second.
psychiatrist. I would love
Okay.
to be like someone who kind of helps people through things, find
Yes.
their deeper meaning.
That makes a lot
Yeah.
of sense. I
Mhm.
think a lot of artists, yeah. Breakfast, lunch, or dinner.
Breakfast, because you can eat it for all three. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So American breakfast or like American Canadian breakfast or like European?
No, American. Yeah, like today I
American.
had chorizo and like sunny side up eggs, and I was like,
Exactly.
yeah.
All day, all day. Oily, salty,
Yes.
sugary, like all the things.
Hmm.
Your favorite season?
Oh, fall and spring are kind of, I would say fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
me too. That's why
Hmm.
we're kindred spirits. If you had one wish, and we're going to end on this, what would it be?
I mean, world peace, but
Okay, Miss America.
I know. Yeah. I can't say that, right? You wanted to, is it about me? The wish is about me.
The 3-year-old Miriam, yes.
Um, well, I mean, I have two kids. And so my wish would be that they find proper contentment and always know in their life why and their purpose for doing something.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Miriam, for coming on Convos. Oh my goodness.
Thank you. This was
Yes,
amazing. Thank you.
you're very welcome. The chat, I think people were really listening. They normally are like, asking questions, but this is you. My cats are fighting now because it's dinner time. There has been all kinds of attacks going on.
Oh my God. I couldn't hear anything. So that's impressive.
Well, at least they know. At least they're disciplined enough to fight quietly, when they see this. But anyway, stay on, don't go away. Thank you, Miriam, for coming on. Thank you guys. Next week, we have another wonderful guest coming on. Combos. Oh, hi, Steve. So this Convos collaboration will be happening throughout the year with Cincinnati Song Initiative. Please follow, like, subscribe to Cincinnati Song Initiative, to KikiKonvos, to Karen Sack Soprano, to Miriam Khalil, who has a beautiful Instagram and Facebook. Follow her. Go hear her sing and perform. Come up to Banff and see all the amazing things we'll be doing this summer. And Banff, maybe Joel come on and talk about all his amazing things. That would be wonderful.
Yes.
So now that we're out of pandemic now, it's like I can sort of kind of like, relax a little bit and do these, I don't always feel the pressure, right, to do them. But anyway, love you all. Thanks, Miriam. I will see you all next week, same time. Look out for the announcement of the next guest. All right. Bye.
Bye.